Blog Talk Radio.
Something's gone wrong. For all our vigilance and battle scars over the Bill of Rights, if we let the flame of freedom's torch grow cold, because there can be no torch to pass where there's no flame. Freedom has only one enemy it cannot defeat, and that is negligence. So your presence here, now, today, is an act of reverence. Of all man's works beneath the heavens, none shines brighter than our Constitution. I think Jefferson and Paine, Adams, Madison, Mason, Franklin, I think they're looking down right now at us. I think they understand what we're trying to do, what we strive to do. Every time our country stands in the path of danger, an instinct seems to summon her finest first, those who truly understand her. When freedom shivers in the cold shadow of true peril, it's always the patriots who first hear the call. When loss of liberty is looming, as it is now, the siren sounds first in the hearts of freedom's vanguard.
Good evening, everybody. This is Joe Joseph. Welcome to tonight's special broadcast. The reason why we're doing this, folks, it's the day before opt-out day with the TSA, and it's very, very important that we discuss this issue in depth and that we get out the word as much as we possibly can, not only because of their actions, but also because of some of the words and the press releases that have come out from the TSA here in recent days. So let me bring on some of my co-hosts here. Of course, we have Griff. Welcome aboard, Griff.
Good afternoon, Joe.
And Uncle John, you're there.
I am here, my friend. Hey, Griff.
Hi, John.
All right. Well, I mean, we got a full plate, and I'm also going to bring in our very good friend Andrew. Andrew, you there, buddy?
Yes, I am.
Oh, very good. Well, let's dive right into this thing then, the TSA. If you ask me, guys, this is one of the, or could be, a potential line in the sand, tipping point type of scenario, whereas if the American people actually grow a set and do what they have to do, we can actually make some serious change for the better here. What do you guys think? Go ahead, Andrew. And Andrew, by the way, we're getting a lot of feedback on your microphone. You might want to try and turn your gain down.
Sure thing. I'll tell you what, go ahead and let John take that question, and
Okay.
I'll see if I can fix this.
Okay. John, go ahead.
Well, you know what? I just have one thing to say to the American people as far as this TSA debacle goes. Surprise! You know, for years we've told you in the tin hat community, so-called tin hat community, that, you know, we're losing our liberties, we're losing our freedom, they're destroying the Constitution, and the mainstream media they're liars. They poked fun at us. They have laughed at us. They called us teabaggers. They poked jokes at us. And now the only reason that anyone is making a fuss over this TSA debacle, Joe, is because it affects everyone individually, Mr. and Mrs. America. And the TSA's answer to this is, this isn't molestation because we haven't gone up your rectum up to the elbow. Once we pass the elbow, then it becomes rape. You know what? One of the TSA I almost said jerk-offs, but that's basically what he is, said that when you buy an airline ticket, you give up your rights. Say that to me, I'm going to punch him right square in the face. I will never give up my rights, my freedoms, and liberties. Where does it say that on the airline contract? Where does it say that in the Constitution that when you fly, you give up your rights and your liberties? Doesn't say it anywhere to me, comrade. I dare you say that to me. It ain't going to happen.
You're absolutely right, John. You know, folks, this right here is akin to what the Jews were subjected to in World War II when they were stripped of all their clothes and dehumanized in such a nasty fashion. and it's designed to turn our citizenry, our own citizens in this country, against us, against one another. And that's exactly what it's doing right now. So, opt-out day shouldn't just be for the traveler. In essence, and if anybody here knows anybody that works with the TSA, or if any TSA agents are listening in on this broadcast, which I sure hope they are, then I have this to say. Your opting out is just as important, if not more important, than the American people opting out when they go to travel. And it's simple as civil disobedience. It's peaceful civil disobedience. And I'll give you some news, okay? Because this is one pilot, Michael Roberts, decided one day, you know what? I'm not going to take this anymore. And look at what he sparked off. That one pilot had lightning in a barrel, and now the pilots don't have to go through the naked body scans. Okay? And the same thing holds true here. Don't fear this. This is not something to fear. The TSA agents, guess what? They're going to threaten you with your job. They're going to say, you know what, if you don't follow protocol, we're going to fire you. Well, if enough of you do it, let me tell you something. They ain't going to fire you. Because what are they going to do? What are they going to do? And we do not have to comply. When we consent to things, and it doesn't matter what it is, but consent is a very powerful word. And you do not have to consent to anything. And you know something, folks, let me just say this too. God's going to reward that behavior also. And that's just my spiritual side coming out. It really will. And now is the time to make a stand. What do you think, Griff?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts on this. It would take a long time for me to...
we got 2 hours, man. We got 2 hours, so it's okay.
And then we have 2 after that and 2 after that.
That's right.
I'd probably be around for another 20 years, I guess, of talking, maybe.
Well, you've been around for 220 before that. So
226 years, that's right.
That's right.
In pretty good shape for as old as I am.
Not so bad.
No, thank you.
I'm glad you got your faculties still. Normally by now, I
do have my faculties. Sometimes they remember in work too. TSA, well, it is a in the big picture, it's a minor issue. It's a side issue. Let me finish the thought.
Sure.
It is not the main focus of what we have coming at us, but it can be turned into an aggravation and a tool to further enslave the people. Mm-hmm. And it seems that is probable. They're going to expand it. You're going to see it on trains. I can just see them down at the Greyhound bus depot with lines trying to search the bus fasten. Maybe I can't, but it can be turned into a control mechanism, and probably will be. It's not the TSA employees; it's the people in Washington that
right.
are setting these policies. In the internment camps in World War II, the Germans recruited Jews and others and gave them some rank in the internment camps over the prisoners. And they, of course, accepted it and did it because they could have food and better treatment. We have something going in that direction right now. The TSA employees are not necessarily the bad guys, but they want the jobs for the money, so they're doing the will of the people in Washington. Now, Joe, if you were a project manager on this,
yes,
and you were focused right on the search at the airports, and that was your main focus, you wouldn't do this, would you? I know you wouldn't.
No, of
I
course
wouldn't
not.
Either. I've
because
been
you want to know something.
Manager before.
You want to know something, Griff? Let me just give you a little bit, because first and foremost, of paramount importance is the Constitution to me. And I know that you say it's dead, but it's only dead because people have chosen to sit back and watch that document's power deteriorate over time. But if enough people in those positions of authority actually care about it and actually enact laws that are that are consistent with constitutional rights and the 18 enumerated powers given to the federal government under the Constitution, then you would know that in the Bill of Rights, Fourth Amendment, it's illegal. It's illegal. People are free to travel in security, and they don't have to worry about being searched, according to the Fourth Amendment. And if they do need to be searched, then show me a warrant. Give me probable cause and show me a warrant. And I got news for you. Me wanting to go fly in a damn airplane is not probable cause. And did you know, Griff, that there were three Supreme Court cases that affirmed that it is your right to travel freely? When the main argument that people are going to put up is, oh, flying's not a right, it's a privilege. No, it's a right. And that 3 times the Supreme Court has affirmed that it is your right. It doesn't matter how you travel. It's your right to travel freely. And it's not discriminatory to how you go about it. But anyway, go ahead and finish your thought, Chris.
But Joe, you know very well there's very little justice in courts.
Sure.
The judges leave a lot to be desired. The courts leave much to be desired. Take California, for instance. Look what's coming out of the courts out there. Many of the courts are like that. The judges are brought. You're not going to find across-the-board justice in the court system today. The lawyers are mercenaries. They're after billable hours. And that's what they're after. Many of the lawyers would and the judges would sell their mothers. They would take the gold out of their family's teeth. So don't think that because it's written on a piece of paper or in the law books that you're going to find in the courts. You're not. There are people sitting in jail that haven't done anything but cross the government, and they put them in jail. So the Constitution and our founding documents are only as good as the guns of the people that are willing to stand up and fight for it. I've heard that on the radio all day today. I've heard Rush Limbaugh and all of the people and on the religious broadcast today talk about our freedoms and our documents and all. It's BS unless you're willing to fight for it. Get your gun and go fight for it. And that's what it's going to take. You're not going to turn anything around in the courts. You're not going to turn anything around by calling your congressman. The congressmen, many of them are afraid. They're afraid. It's just a handful that stand up and speak out. They're not afraid. And I'm proud of them. Inhofe of Oklahoma is one of my heroes. But you're not going to get anywhere in the courts. You're not going to get anywhere speaking out. Freedom is kind of a strange word. It sounds good, but you have to fight and kill for it. There was one man after the 1865 end of the War of Northern Aggression. Mm-hmm. He said, "I don't want to live under these people," and he put a rifle in his mouth and committed suicide. His name was Ruffin. Lived in Mechanicsville, Virginia. He was one of the first people down at Fort Sumter to fire the shot from the shore, and he killed himself. And there were many people that said, "No, we will not live under this," and they never swore allegiance to the United States government in Washington after 1865. So where the tire hits the road, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. I've heard it all day today and the day before and the day before that. You're going to have to get out with your guns to get the country back, and that's the way it is. That's the first time I've really said that over the radio, but you're not going to get it any other way.
I understand, and Andrew, I mean, think about this. What's your take on this, and where would you go if you're a Homeland Security guy or you're John Pistol, and you had to design a way to make it safe for people to travel freely? How would you go about doing that? What would you do?
Well, you know what? Personally, man, I would say if you want to travel, it's at your own risk. If something happens, God forbid, well, that's one of the consequences of being a free person, is it can be a little bit more dangerous.
Yes.
End of story. You know what? As what you were asking earlier when I wasn't